In June 2020, Tokyo Regional Taxation Bureau accused the president of Ufotable, a Japanese animation production company working on very famous anime series of Demon Slayer and Fate, of tax evasion. And the Tokyo District Court sentenced Hikaru Kondo, the president of Ufotable, 1 year and 8 months in prison, suspended for 3 years, and forfeit 30 million yen for evading corporate tax, about 138 million yen. So this judgment revealed an unreasonable Japanese taxation system that was unrealistically out of the step with profit structure of the animation industry in Japan. At the examination parted by the court, Hikaru Kondo, the president of Ufotable, the animation production company, explained the circumstance of his company. The most of the revenue was earned by the restaurant business and goods sales. And the revenue from the restaurant business and goods sales supports my anime production business in the black. Actually, profitable businesses in our company were restaurant business and goods sales related to anime work that we produced. Thanks to these two sources of income, we have been somehow able to keep producing anime works so far. So if no anime work was hit and no profit was made from anime goods and restaurant business, there will be no payment to my staff. So I came to think that I wanted to keep as much cash close at hand as possible just in case. The very first behavior that became the trigger for tax evasion was exclusion of sales of restaurant business from the corporate revenue. So settlement fee of credit card was very huge. So all the restaurants run by Ufotable relied on cash payment from customers. So originally, staff of each restaurant was able to check the sales data of restaurants with post-register system, but he restricted access to the post-register system attached to each restaurant at some point. Then staff could no longer check the amount of sales on that day. He said like part-time workers working in a warehouse sometimes sneak into the warehouse in the midnight and oftentimes posted a picture of goods and other products stored in a warehouse on social medias. And I was in great fear lest someone should post messages on social media like Ufotable is such a profitable company or successful company. So I decided to put sales manager in touch with a company managing a post-register system and made him request this company to restrict access to sales data on post-register system at any rate. So after all, Hikaru Kondo, the president of the Ufotable, made his company pretend to make sales evenly, averagely, every year by shrinking income and sales on the book account. It's like he purposely recorded the sales of TV anime work that should have been recorded in this period, in the next period, and excluded a part of sales of restaurant business and goods sales from the corporate revenue. It was revealed that he hit about 441 million in the corporate sales in 2015 and 2017 and 2018 and evaded corporate tax and consumption tax about 138 million yen in total. In March 2020, the Criminal Investigation Division of Tokyo Regional Taxation Bureau conducted a compulsory investigation in Kondo's house and found cash about 360 million yen in total. Until the Tokyo Regional Taxation Bureau stepped into a compulsory investigation in Kondo's house, he used the cash for company's expenses and the construction costs of anime studio in Tokushima and the cost of land purchase and buying back the stock of his company from board members. So he confessed his tax evasion perfectly and perfectly paid penalty levy imposed by Taxation Bureau. He said me and my accountant wife received executive compensation with cash from the company. The cash kept in my house included our legitimate remuneration, but we didn't distinguish all the money saved in my house from sales of restaurants and our legitimate executive compensation. So that's why cash in my house was mixed with so many coins and so many bills disorderly. So we could somehow cover the land costs and construction costs of our house with our executive compensation from our company. So we have no recognition that we used corporate cash obtained by tax evasion personally. So other than the time I sleep in my bed, I'm working hard, very hard, and thinking about work all the time. And I have no hobby. And I've never dreamt of luxury lifestyle so far. So the reason why I evaded tax this time was that I just wanted to keep as much cash close at hand as possible just in case a bad thing happened to my company. But there is a structural problem in a Japanese anime industry that forced anime production company to evade tax and to keep cash in the company. So he said like the probability that anime work can become a smash hit is said to be 1 out of 10 anime works in the anime industry, and it may be less than that. So no hit, no good sales, and no customer in the restaurants. So if we devote our full resources to producing anime work, I'm sure that gets into the red. The quality level of each anime work demanded to Japanese animation production company has got higher and higher these days. And we always try hard to respond to clients' expectation and demands. But anime production costs suggested by clients is very, very small. So the more anime work we produce, the more deficit we need to bear at the same time. So we could somehow produce a series of very famous anime work, likely. So we somehow keep running a company. But if not, our company will easily go bankruptcy. So I've always kept working with questions. Why we had to accept a job that we already knew that we needed to bear deficit from the beginning, and why we needed to pay out of the pocket to complete the anime work requested by clients. So it was really, really strange. There's statistics data related to animators' income reality that proves animation industry in Japan that Kondo is talking about. So according to Japanese animators fact-finding survey published by the Japan Animation Creators Association in November 2019, average monthly work time of animators who answered this survey was about 230 hours per month, and about 40% of animators received salary less than 3 million yen, which is about 25,000 US dollars. It's really cheap. And anime industry is said to be booming in Japan and in the world recently, but people engaged in anime work lament over this kind of very tough work situation with very small compensation. So there are video voices like, I'm even worried about if I could cover my food expenses with very small salary, and I have no physical and mental and financial leeway. And our treatment has been getting better than before, but income level is still much lower than other industries. Young animators are not disposable. So one of the judges of Tokyo District Court asked him, like, is it impossible to change industry practice and restore business structure of this industry? So Kondo answers like, I'm not sure I understand. When anime production company gets ransom from sales of anime works and other business, they make outsourcing contracts with freelance animators to prepare for the next anime work. And the compensation system adopted by the most of anime production company in Japan is piecework system based on work rate. And the amount of payment for inexperienced animators who don't really get used to making anime tends to be smaller because the amount of work they can complete in time is overwhelmingly fewer than that of other experienced animators. So the amount of reward that inexperienced starter animators can receive is mostly half of public assistance benefits for people facing economic hardship in Japan. So it's like the amount of public assistance benefit is 100,000 yen per month. In contrast, the amount of reward that starter animators can receive is 50,000 yen. So on top of that, actual working hours is so long as it is no difference from home confinement, it is impossible to make time to do other business and to do side work that support their living. So there are so many starter animators in Japan who have no choice but to give up halfway and leave this industry for their living. So this is implicit anime industry practice, right? So I was really distressed by the fact that I could only pay a very small reward for freelance animators, although I demanded them to do such hard work every time. And having said that, the compensation system is based on piecework system, depending on the work rate. So taking this opportunity, I decided to employ all the freelance animators who are interested as permanent staff in my company, and I promised them to pay fixed monthly salary and bonus on regular basis. And anime production budget suggested by clients has gradually gone up. Having said that, it is not that clients try to understand our circumstance perfectly. So I know employing all animators as permanent staff, permanent workers is really, really harsh managerially. However, I've ever been doing this job all the way up until now because I've devoted my life to making really good anime work. So as much as possible, I want to accept a job that makes staff happy to do, even if ignoring profit on the job. Kondo said that his animation production company, Ufotable, had 200 employees now and proceeded with reforming work system with an advice from a labor and social security attorney, the former national taxation officer. A prosecutor asked him what he's going to do to deal with the concerns of management deterioration in the future. So he clearly answers I have no longer accepted new animation project after I was under arrest in suspicion of tax evasion by National Taxation Bureau. So I'm now doing a job that I had accepted before I was arrested. So our business is now being stable. Thankfully, I still receive so many new offers from clients, but I stopped accepting offers that I already know that I end up bearing deficits to complete the anime work. So if clients doesn't have an intention to increase anime production costs, anime production budget, I'm gonna have to think that we make our own anime work by ourselves. So currently, I'm exploring the ways that I can do business in the form that I suggest, a plan that we uniquely think out. Needless to say, in the anime industry, the difference in sales between the period of anime production and the period of anime release is like the difference between night and day. And sales of anime production company concentrate after anime work is released publicly. In contrast, sales will decrease during the anime production period. So during this period, an anime production company has to manage to get by on side business and additional income to support financial situation of a company from anime works that they produced in the past. So if an anime work becomes a great hit, income gets extremely bigger with box office revenue and related products temporarily for about half a year. But if a year or 2 years passes after anime work releases, a company's revenue goes really, really down, less than half of that during the period of anime work release. So the amount of revenue that an anime production company can obtain has ups and downs depending on whether company is making anime work or company is in releasing period. So for example, the revenue of a company in the year of a movie release is $5 million. But in the next year, it becomes $1 million. In the year after the next year, it will become $1 million. Right? So like like that there is a big gap. There is a big gap in the corporate revenue between release period and production period. But payment for corporate tax and consumption tax needs to be made every year without delay. They have to completely pay tax every year. If a company pays taxes in the release period, the amount of half of sales will absolutely go to the tax collector, because Japanese tax system adopts progressive taxation. It's like a company earns $5 million in the release period. They end up paying $2.5 million for tax, which means they end up paying the largest amounts of taxes in the period they can earn the most. So as a result, the amount of cash they can keep close at hand becomes very small at the best time to make a profit. Kondo, the president of ufotable, made a company pretend to make sales every year evenly by adjusting sales amounts for a certain period in order to reduce the amount of tax payment in the releasing period. For example, if the sales of a company in the year of movie release is $5 million, in the next year it becomes $1 million. In the year after the next year, it becomes $1 million. He adjusted sales on the book accounts, like adjusting sales in each year to be $2.3 million. Obviously, making anime takes a long time, and it is no wonder that it takes 1 or 2 years until the anime work releases. So after releasing it, sales amounts will become explosive if it becomes a great hit. When you see the process of anime production, you can easily understand that it is impossible to make average sales every year. Of course, if an anime production company can produce TV anime series that can be released averagely through a year, they manage to make average sales every year. But if they make a long version anime movie, annual corporate tax imposed to annual sales based on progressive taxation afflicts them as much as they make them feel the sense of crisis towards bankruptcy. Moreover, terrestrial broadcast slots are kept with concession of major TV station and major advertising agency. So budget allocation for anime work that is released in a terrestrial broadcast slot is forcibly decided by major TV station and advertising agencies. So of course, profit allocation according to investment amount is automatically decided by the side that owns broadcast slots. So even if anime production company offers that they take full risk by bearing all the production costs, the TV station and advertising agencies will not nod to this offer. So TV station side that wants to increase sales tries to shrink the anime production budget that's going to be suggested to anime production company. So there is the same structure in the movie industry. So basically, the more stakeholders are involved in an anime project, the more harsh movie budget allocation becomes. Anime production companies' share of profit allocation is the smallest among other stakeholders. So structurally, anime production companies tends to be driven into severe position. So Studio Ghibli, you may know this very famous animation production company. Studio Ghibli is the only animation company that could get out of this situation, get out of the unreasonable subcontracting structure. So personally, Japanese anime production companies should receive investment from external investors that are not stakeholders of animation production related to the company to maintain stable foundation for anime production that is not easily influenced by power balance between TV station and movie company and advertising agencies as a prime contractor and anime production companies as a subcontractor, and to establish own platform that makes it possible to release their own brand, own anime work uniquely, like Marvel or Disney or Ghibli. So, for better or worse, executives and managing director of an animation production company have an artistic temperament. So they purely pursue increase in quality of anime without being aware of profit and sales. They devote their life to anime production. So I always think that they need support from someone who can make financial support and managerial support to preserve culture and animation production technique that can be handed down from generation to generation.